This is Earth in the year 2075. Due to humanity's overuse of water resources, they are on the brink of depletion. For the continuation of human civilization, a group of scientists received a special mission to proceed to the Bohai base on the moon to retrieve a crucial sample. But just as they were preparing to return the same way, a loud crash suddenly came from outside the door. Everyone immediately went forward to investigate. Unexpectedly, a disheveled humanoid monster stood right before them. What is this monster's true identity? In his hands he was still holding a sample stolen from an alien beast. Seizing the moment of his brief stupor, Jin Shan picked up a pistol and swiftly fired at him. The wounded monster emitted a faint whimper, then quickly began to flee. Looking at the situation, this monster seemed to be a human female in disguise, promptly took people and gave chase. But faced with the squad's concentrated fire suppression, the monster acted swiftly, always able to dodge the incoming bullets. Finally ducked into the bushes to hide. Jian cautiously approached to inspect. Little did they expect that this so-called monster was actually a little girl. After both sides gazed at each other for a moment, the little girl quickly fled through the cave entrance. The people of Tundu intended to continue chasing. However, Jian inadvertently saw a shattered capsule. The leaked lunar water inside had come into contact with the blood on the ground and began to undergo rampant splitting. Everyone knew well the fearsome nature of lunar water, dared not to linger further, quickly withdrew with the collected samples. But the alien beast attacked by the monster, blood due to severe injuries, forever remained here. After returning, Jian made an analysis. The little girl is highly likely to be the one previously, the discovered unknown creature, also a survivor of the Bohai base. But for some unknown reason, she wished to protect the lunar water from being taken. At the same time, Jian raised another question. 5 years ago, the Bohai base had a total of 117 members, but in the end, not a single one survived. If they rashly brought the lunar water back to Earth, it might bring about a catastrophic disaster. With a mind full of questions, Min Kai once again dialed Director Zhang's video call, stating that they had obtained the samples, asking whether the squad members could immediately return to Earth. But Director Zhang clearly did not wish for them to leave just yet, requested that they must recover those alien creatures. If necessary, they may kill the little girl. Only in this way is the mission considered complete. For the safety of the team members, Yun Kai had no choice but to lead the squad into the ventilation ducts to search for the little girl. Jian and the female doctor then returned to the database to search for information related to the lunar water. But strangely, the information about lunar water had long been erased by others. Helpless, they could only return to the infirmary once more. However, as soon as they entered the door, the two saw Engineer Taishi taking away samples. Moreover, he claimed it was under the captain's orders. But Jian did not believe it at all, because the samples had always been kept by the infirmary. They had not received any notice from the captain. It turned out that Taishi and Li Qi were a pair. He also had a satellite phone in his hand. Just now, he had received orders from his superiors. After taking the samples, kill all witnesses, to ensure that the Yuan army could enter safely. Seeing the impasse, Taishi intended to take action to kill. But little did he know that the little girl suddenly appeared outside the door. Everyone was frightened, immediately became vigilant. Jian took the opportunity to notify the captain via radio to turn back. But the girl did not attack them. Instead, she walked in wanting to take the hot water from the table. Unexpectedly, Taishi suddenly fired at her. But the girl dodged a few times and evaded it. All bullets knocked Taishi to the ground. Jian, well versed in animal behavior, knew that the girl harbored no malice, signaled to everyone not to act rashly. Then she picked up the lunar water from the ground, slowly handed it over. The girl seemed to understand her goodwill, lowered her guard and slowly approached. And just then, Jian saw clearly the name tag on the girl's chest. Her name was Song Yuanjin. Isn't this the same name as his sister? Jian was greatly shocked. What on earth is going on? At this moment, Taishi suddenly fired his gun, shattering the capsule. Lunar water splashed all over the girl. He fell to the table, struggling in pain. Just as everyone thought the girl was about to perish, a miraculous scene occurred. His wounds were rapidly healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. A grimace appeared on his face. After a moment, the girl had returned to normal. It seemed that such a potent blood water was a kind of all-purpose tonic for him. Then the girl swept past everyone and fled into the ventilation ducts. Jian quickly placed the lunar water back into the cold storage and adjusted the temperature to the lowest to prevent accidents. Then everyone began to discuss. The features exhibited by the girl left them extremely shocked. Jian speculated that her body had already adapted to the hot water and had undergone some mutation, gaining terrifying abilities. The team members feared being attacked again, proposed to find the girl and kill her completely. But Jian opposed it, because only on her could they unravel the secret of the hot water. Then Yun Kai secretly contacted Section Chief Han, asking if he knew about the closure of the Bohai base. Section Chief Han was vague, told him everything was Director Zhang's decision. If they wanted to know the truth of matters, might as well go talk to Jian. After pondering for a moment, Min Kai agreed to Jian's idea. They prepared to place the lunar water in the central corridor, waiting for the little girl to be lured to come and take the water, then simultaneously lower the gates at both ends of the corridor. After devising the plan, everyone immediately began to act, because they knew the girl did not intend to harm. Therefore, Jian held the lunar water, stood in the middle of the corridor. After some time, the biological detector issued an alarm. Then the girl emerged swiftly from a side ventilation duct, rushed out quickly. Jian slowly placed the lunar water on the ground and signaled her not to be nervous. But just as the girl was about to take the lunar water, Leader Kong swiftly pressed the switch to close the gates. However, to everyone's surprise, the girl, who had seemed like a wild beast before, displayed a pleading look in her eyes. Jian was momentarily stunned and forgot to flee. Min Kai quickly rushed over and pulled her out. The girl tried to escape but was a step too late. Her ankle was crushed by the gate, struggling in pain. Jian couldn't bear to see her hurt, quickly ran over, hugged the girl to comfort her, but accidentally got bitten by her. At that moment, Jian saw Luna 73 written on her neck collar. Isn't this the email his sister sent him? Seeing the girl in great pain, Min Kai immediately shot her with an anesthetic dart. Then Jian opened the gate to rescue him, and like a mother, called the police. He comforted him. The girl gradually calmed down. Just as they were preparing to take the girl back for treatment, a lockdown alarm suddenly rang at the base. The girl was frightened, quickly fled out through the ventilation ducts. Jian pursued her recklessly, because he felt the girl must have some connection with his sister. Meanwhile, Yun Kai and Leader Kong were locked inside. It turned out everything was engineer Tai Shi's doing. He and Li Qi worked for a company named RX. After Li Qi's death, all missions fell upon him. Previously, Tai Shi obtained the satellite phone left by Li Qi, intended to destroy it, to prevent the squad from contacting the space agency. Unexpectedly, Jin Shan, while organizing the circuits, actually, by chance, restored the base's communication system, until later they found the lunar water samples. RX company, to prevent disclosure, prepared to expedite their actions. Thus, Tai Shi took the opportunity when they went out to lure the girl, secretly took the samples from the cold storage. Yu Air, upon discovering Tai Shi's betrayal, was shot dead by him. Then he directly went to the main control room, locked up the other teammates in the storage room, and confined everyone inside. Meanwhile, Jin Shan, being on the edge of the sealed area, burst out at the last moment as the gates closed, then immediately rushed to the main control room to check the situation, but was ambushed and killed on the spot by Tai Shi. Meanwhile, Jian chased the girl into the ventilation ducts. Although the girl was very fast, each time she was out of sight, she would stop and wait for him. Jian finally understood. The girl was deliberately leading him to this place. He followed her all the way, to a secret room. Inside were numerous research materials arranged exquisitely. It looked like a small laboratory. At this moment, a noise suddenly came from behind. Jian cautiously walked over to check. It turned out this was the girl's hiding place. Jian tried to communicate with her, but the girl was highly alert and did not respond. Then he took out some candies, signaling she could eat them. The girl seemed to recognize this. Though scared, she still took them. The tense atmosphere between them finally began to ease. Then, Jian found many photos of his sister on the bed. Then he saw a disc. The secret of the lunar water was finally revealed. It turned out his sister, while testing the lunar water, accidentally discovered that fish could adapt to the proliferation of lunar water. To fully control this substance, they used genetic technology to merge human and fish genes. Then, using cloning technology, they cultivated one Luna after another. From number 1 to 72, all died due to experimental failures. It was like drowning 72 girls alive. The process was exceedingly brutal. Until the birth of Luna 73, they finally succeeded. He not only could perfectly adapt to the lunar water, but also mutated into a more terrifying gene. This was the truth the space agency desperately tried to conceal, and the reason why 5 years ago all the living were trapped and killed at the Bohai base. Because the human experiments they conducted were infuriating to all. Once leaked, the entire nation would face condemnation worldwide. Upon learning the truth, Jian shed tears of sorrow. He couldn't understand why his sister and others were so cruel. Can a single statement of, "for the future of humanity," truly explain everything? Jian painfully embraced Luna, trying to soothe his own suffering. Then he injected the lunar water he brought into Luna's body. His severely injured calf instantly healed as if untouched. Meanwhile, Yu Air and Leader Kong, unable to escape, decided to first enter the ventilation ducts, then find a way to escape to an unsealed area. After entering the ducts, the two decided to use stealth tactics. Leader Kong went to find Jian's whereabouts, while Yu Air returned to the control center to investigate the reason behind the base's lockdown. Meanwhile, the female doctor, who returned early, discovered 2 frozen corpses in the cold storage. The corpses had obvious gunshot wounds on their chests. At this moment, the samples and Tai Shi were already missing. In panic, the female doctor hurried to report the situation to the captain. The two accidentally met in a terrifying warehouse. There were 72 corpses of Luna displayed there. Both were shocked by the sight before them. Then they walked through the warehouse, returning to the main control through the ventilation ducts. As soon as they landed, they found Jin Shan's corpse. At this point, Yun Kai could almost confirm that engineer Tai Shi was the other traitor hidden within the team. Then he immediately unlocked the sealed area and hurried to find Jian and Leader Kong. Because they did not know Tai Shi's true identity, their current situation was extremely dangerous. Meanwhile, after some searching, Leader Kong found the secret room where the girl was, determined to kill her at all costs. The girl hid behind Jian in fear. Previously deceased Kong Kan was Leader Kong's own younger brother. Filled with rage, he blamed everything on the little girl. Just as he was about to strike her down, Jian's voice suddenly came through the earpiece, telling him that Tai Shi was approaching quickly. instructed him to immediately take the two and relocate to the research lab. Filled with rage, he blamed everything on the little girl. Just as he was about to strike her down, Jian's voice suddenly came through the earpiece, telling him that Tai Shi was rapidly approaching, instructing him to immediately take the two and relocate to the research lab, and reunited with the female doctor. Although for some reason, he could only follow orders. As expected, a moment later, Tai Shi found this place, but Yu also followed closely behind. The two immediately fought fiercely. After a bout of combat, Tai Shi was defeated, pinned down firmly by Yu. Then Yu questioned him on why he did this. "I can't bear it." At that moment, the satellite phone on the ground suddenly received a message. Yu's gaze was drawn to it. Tai Shi seized the chance, drew his gun, and resisted, then quickly picked up the pistol from the ground, once again confronting Yu. Unexpectedly, a lot of water suddenly flowed from his head. It turned out the hot water leaking from the underground tunnel earlier had already split into a vast ocean. Due to the high pressure, the base forcibly activated the ventilation system, causing the hot water to gush directly onto the lunar surface. One connection. Less we separated Tai Shi and Yu. Neither dared to take a step forward. To complete the mission, Tai Shi grabbed the samples and turned to flee. Yu immediately returned to the research lab to inform everyone of the situation, and stated they needed to leave the Bohai base immediately. Otherwise, they might all meet their demise. But at that moment, Jian's hands suddenly showed anomalies. Then he looked into everyone's eyes as if covered with a layer of water mist. He realized he might have been infected by the lunar water, so he immediately ran to the infirmary and locked himself inside. Soon, a large amount of hot water gushed out from his mouth. Previously, he and Leader Kong, while transferring to the research lab, accidentally got hit by a drop of hot water falling from the ceiling. That's how he got infected. In a moment, Jian felt a drowning suffocation. However, strangely, he did not drown like others. Instead, he revived again. Looking at the bite marks on his hands, the female doctor speculated that previously he was accidentally bitten by the girl, possibly causing mutated genes in his body, gaining the ability to adapt to blood water. This accidental difference saved his life. Meanwhile, Leader Kong picked up Tai Shi's lost satellite phone, learned that RX Company's support forces would soon arrive at the Bohai base. To cope with this sudden situation, Yu contacted Section Chief Han again, asking him to help delay the arrival time of the spaceship. Although Section Chief Han agreed to this request, he was deeply worried about their idea to bring Luna 73 back to Earth, because records of her existence had already been entirely erased by the authorities. If they forcibly brought her back to Earth, Director Zhang would immediately send her to a secret research center to continue the unfinished experiments at the Bohai base. Director Zhang holds high rank and power. Currently, no one can shake his decisions. However, within the space agency, more and more people have begun to resist such actions. He would try to find a solution before returning to Earth, but Jian proposed his own idea. Due to the highly unstable nature of the hot water, bringing it back to Earth would inevitably bring unforeseen risks. At the same time, learning from past experiences, he also did not wish to hand Luna over to Korea. Therefore, the space agency. He thought of an institution in space, the International Space Research Institute. Only by sending her there can Luna receive the fairest treatment and prevent any party from monopolizing the lunar water. To ensure absolute safety, Yu decided to attach a tracking locator to Luna. Luna seemed to sense his goodwill. After hesitating for a moment, she obediently complied. Then everyone immediately began to act. But halfway, Luna suddenly crawled on the ground. He heard that danger was imminent, leading everyone to flee immediately. It turned out the wildly proliferating lunar water had already broken through the base, instantly knocking both of them away. But the lunar water was quickly swept by the moon. Leader Kong saw the situation and decisively killed Tai Shi, creating a bloody path for everyone. But he was also inadvertently shot and wounded by the other party. Then they took the samples from Tai Shi's hands, moved them to the airtight chamber, preparing to put on spacesuits and flee outside the base. Unfortunately, Leader Kong was already infected by the lunar water, looking dazed and staggering. Then he revealed a cruel truth to everyone. The government would never send people to pick them up. 5 years ago, after the Bohai base incident, Tai Shi was a member of the rescue team. But upon reaching the moon, he received orders to seal the base. Seeing the scientists' painful wails, feeling utterly despondent, Tai Shi felt deep remorse. So he cooperated with RX Company, because he felt the government did not deserve to possess the lunar water. At that moment, the sound of glass cracking came from behind. The wildly proliferating lunar water had filled the entire corridor. Leader Kong, seeing this, decisively killed Tai Shi, creating a bloody path for everyone. But he was also inadvertently shot and wounded by the other party. Then they took the samples from Tai Shi's hands, moved them to the airtight chamber, preparing to put on spacesuits and flee outside the base. Unfortunately, Leader Kong, due to severe injuries, permanently stopped breathing. At this moment, Yu discovered the internal switch to close the chamber door malfunctioned. He resolutely chose to sacrifice himself, went alone outside the chamber to close the door, and bid them a final farewell from the injuries he sustained. Soon, a large amount of incoming lunar water completely submerged him. Jian didn't have time to grieve, prepared to flee immediately with Luna, but upon turning around, Luna was already gone. He and the female doctor hurriedly took the samples and went out to search. However, just outside the door, The wildly proliferating lunar water had already breached the base, instantly knocking both of them away. The extreme cold temperatures on the lunar surface had frozen, and did not pose a threat to their lives. Soon after, the two proceeded forward wearing spacesuits, but discovered human footprints on the ground. Next, the scene they saw seemed like a miracle. They saw a little girl standing on a distant hillside. It was Luna. At this moment, she was not wearing any equipment, and was freely walking on the moon. Obviously, her genes had completely adapted to the lunar environment. Even more pleasantly, the captain who was submerged by lunar water did not die, but was rescued by Luna. At this moment, a strong beam of light suddenly shot from the sky. Under Section Chief Hans Fist, the space agency's rescue team finally arrived. They returned to Earth with Luna and the lunar water. Perhaps in the near future, the problem of humanity's water resource depletion can be resolved quickly. The movie is titled Silent Sea. The narrative of this drama is quite distinctive. Unlike ordinary TV series with straightforward order, it is more like a puzzle game. The entire film focuses solely on two elements related to water. Not only involves the topic of environmental protection, but also captures the conspiracy theories commonly seen in Korean dramas. Although there are some unreasonable minor flaws, causing disagreements among the audience, but the film's plot is tense and captivating. It can be considered a rare good drama. Fans of this type of sci-fi can go and watch it.